Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video I'm going to be doing a set of autumn press-on nails with a blooming gel nail design. I really wanted to design myself a set of nails that I can take on and off throughout the rest of autumn, so I thought I would share the design with you guys. So I've sized up my press-on nail tips and I'm going to show you guys the colours that I've selected first of all. So my base colour in this set I want to be tea rose, because tea rose is one of my absolute favorite nude shades. She is just such a gorgeous kind of like a brownie beige nude, which I find suits really well for the autumn months. And I wanted to go for a brown and green theme for this set of nails, so I've got Earthy Brown, which will come out, this was released in the Indian summer collection last year I believe, and it's such a pretty shade. And then of course you have to have Ivy Forest in your collection for autumn and winter, because it is such a beautiful deep dark green with an ever so slight hint of teal to it. So I find it really pretty for autumn and winter because it's slightly different to the classic green shades that you will see. Now on 4 of these nails, so the thumb, index, middle and ring finger, I'm going to have my base shade with tea rose. We are going to be doing nail art on all of the nails, so the index, middle and ring finger are going to be blooming gel designs, and then I wanted the thumbnail to be a French, and I wanted the little finger to just be plain Ivy Forest, because a lot of the time when I'm wearing nails on myself I focus a lot of the nail art on the middle, ring and index finger. And then I'll kind of keep the thumb and little finger a little simple, and because I wanted a little pop of this gorgeous green in this set of nails, I thought it would be best to have the little finger just full green. If you wanted to add a little something extra, I suppose you could come in and do some crystals on this nail, which would still keep the colour quite simple. So there are our first coats of colour. As you can see, I've kept my first coats nice and thin. You want to keep each of your layers thin. You do not need to apply the Kiki London gel polishes thickly. They have beautiful pigmentation and apply effortlessly in 2 thin coats, curing each coat for 30 seconds in your LED lamp. Now, of course, if you wasn't doing these on press-on nails, if you were doing them on your natural nails, then you would do all your prep and base coat on your natural nails. What I tend to do is design my press-ons first of all, and then I will do all my prep and just glue these on with regular nail glue. And then I find, like I said at the start of the video, I tend to wear them on and off. So what I would do if I wanted to wear them again would be to pop a peel off base coat underneath, or you can also get reusable tabs which are great for press on nails as well. But today I'm not going to be showing you guys applying these, I'm just showing you guys the design. If you would like to see that included, applying them with glue, I can try and include it in another video. But anyway, moving on, we're going to come in and apply the second coat of our colour. So as you can see with the second coat, I'm just floating this on, evening it out. I only take a small amount on my brush, and then I'm also making sure to cap the free edge when I'm doing my second coat of colour as well, as this just keeps everything looking nice and uniform on the free edge. Here with Ivy Forest, I actually come in with a little too much on my brush, so you see I wiped off a fair bit of excess. This is because I find it a lot easier to go in with less than more. It's a lot easier to control the product, so a lot of the time I'll wipe off my brush fully and then wipe the other side half, but that time I picked up a little bit too much gel polish, so we're just getting rid of some of that excess. Once that second coat has fully cured, we're ready to move on to some nail art. For our nail art, like I mentioned, we're going to be doing a lot of blooming gel. So we're going to take the Kiki London blooming gel. If you haven't already got this, then I highly recommend it. It makes blooming gel nail art so easy. Before I had the Kiki London blooming gel, I used to sometimes use a rubber base coat, which would work well as well, but the blooming gel just works a lot better. So what I'm going to come in and do is apply a thin coat of blooming gel to the entire nail, and you want to leave this wet, so you don't want to pop this into cure until you have finished your blooming gel design. And you also see there I popped a little bit of Earthy Brown and Ivy Forest onto a little dish, because that's what we're going to be using for our design. So I've popped the thin coat down and I've just left it for a few seconds to self level, and then I'm going to take a large dotting tool, and on this now we're going to do some blooming gel flowers. So I'm going to simply dot on 5 little dots, kind of imagining that there's a dot in the center that we're going around. And then whilst that's blooming, I'm going to do the same again down in this corner, but down here I'm just going to do 3 dots because we're going to have that effect of the flower coming off the edge of the nail, because I quite like how that looks. I did give that a few seconds to bloom, and then I'm going to switch to a smaller dotting tool and just come in the centers with the brown. To keep this simple, you could just do it in one color, but I think adding in that second layer really takes the design up a level. Again, that's going to bloom a little bit as well, so we're going to give that a few seconds. Once you're happy with how much your design has bloomed, that's when you pop it into cure. The longer you leave it, the more the design will diffuse and bloom out. With these kind of floral designs, you don't really want that to happen too much, so a couple of seconds is long enough, and then you're going to pop that in to cure for a full 30 seconds. That's that design finished. It just needs to be top coated, which we're going to do at the end of the video. So I'm going to move on to the second nail. Again, I'm starting off by applying that thin coat of blooming gel and leaving it wet, and then on this nail I wanted to have just a kind of like a side sweep of blooming gel nail art with the colors. So I'm going to come in and dot on the Ivy Forest first of all with the larger end of the blooming gel, and then I'm just going to give that a couple of seconds to start blooming, and then we're going to come in and in between those spaces on the next line we're going to take our Earthy Brown. And this is a really simple way just to add a hint of nail art into a set of nails, especially when you're wanting to combine colors. I love that we've got the nice toasty cozy look of the tea rose, and then it just suits the Ivy Forest and Earthy Brown beautifully to give a really autumnal feel. So once that had finished blooming, I popped that into cure for 30 seconds, and then we're going to move on to the third blooming gel design. Now for the third design, I wanted to do something a little bit different that I haven't done before, so it didn't go 100% to plan. It's a design that maybe I just needed to tweak a little bit, but I wanted to do some blooming gel leaves, because obviously we had the flower on the first blooming gel design, so I wanted to pair that up with a leafy look. So I'm going to come in with my dotting tool, and I'm placing these dots down roughly where I want my leaves to be. So I'm coming in and I wanted them to go larger to smaller, so I started off with a lot more gel polish on my dotting tool, and then made sure that I had less on for the smaller leaves. And then I'm taking the stripe liner brush. I'm taking the Kiki London stripe liner brush, and then what I'm doing is pulling out the edges. I wanted to try and create a leafy shape, but this just wasn't 100% going to plan. I think I applied too much gel polish, so it was blooming out quite a bit, and then I didn't want the colors to start merging together, so I was trying to be really quick. I do come in and just kind of add a little bit more gel polish to try and fix that up, but it wasn't 100%, but it worked for the design I had in mind, because I didn't want these leaves to fully look like the leaves, because I'm going to paint over the top with the metallic gold paint. I just wanted that rough leaf shape, so it kind of worked, but it just needs a tweaking a little bit, which usually comes with practice. A lot of the time, the first time you do a nail art design, it never goes to plan, but the more you do it, the better it becomes. But one of the things I love about blooming gel is the fun you can have with it, and the amount you can experiment with it to create different designs and different looks. So I popped that in to cure anyway, and then as I mentioned, I want to paint on my leaves with the gold metallic gel paint. Please excuse the state of my pot. I knocked this over in, I think it was 2 videos back, and I've cleaned it up as best as I can, but I need to order another one. But I don't obviously want it to go to waste, so I just always decant a little bit of this onto my palette anyway, and a little bit goes a really long way with this gel paint. The gel paints that are in a pot are very highly pigmented, and these have a metallic finish to them as well. So because they're very highly pigmented, you only need a little bit on your brush, and it makes it really easy to paint with, because you don't have to worry about the pigmentation, and it has a really nice thin consistency. So here I'm just drawing on the leaf shape over that blooming gel leaf shape, and then I'm just coming in with a stem down the middle and then connecting those leaves to that stem, and it kind of gave off a bit of an abstract look, which I do quite like. So I was happy with how this turns out in the end. Sometimes you've just got to trust the process. Once I had finished hand painting that section on, we popped that in to cure for 30 seconds. As I said at the start, I like to keep the thumb and little finger fairly simple, so I decided to come in with a French on this nail. I love having a French nail on my thumb. I don't know what it is, but I just really like the look of that, and I very rarely will wear a full set of French, but it's nice to include one in a nail art design, especially when you're playing around with a color palette. So I'm going to come in. I didn't feel as though I had that much earthy brown showing through in the set, so we're going to come in and do our French with that. So I'm using my French brush to do this. I've loaded up my French brush with a generous amount of gel polish, roughly the same as you would with your gel bottle brush, because you really want to get that color coming through. I then press down both sides to get the shape of my smile line, and then I use that long side of the French brush to pull my wings down. Now obviously this is going to depend on the French that you're doing. I wanted this one to be quite deep, so I'm bringing those edges of the French down and I'm pulling them down using that long part of the brush. Now depending on how well you've done your French tip, you might need to come in and clean up. I didn't necessarily want to change the shape or clean up the shape, it was just a little bit uneven. So I took my angled nail art brush with a little bit of alcohol just to go along the edges so we get that crisp finish, and then I'm going to do exactly the same as we did on the first coat. So loading up both sides of that brush, and then I'm going to press down with my gel polish. So as you see here, I'm just lining it up on top of that French, pressing and pulling it down, keeping that brush quite flat to the nail, and then I'm going to use the long edges to come down and paint on those wings. Now I know some people do this with the stripe liner brush, but once you get the hang of doing it with your French brush, it's a lot easier because you're just doing it all with that one brush that you've got to hand. The second coat is obviously a lot easier than the first coat because you're simply coming over the top. So perfect your French on that first coat, and then on the second coat you've literally got to paint on top. So this is what our finished looked like, our finished design looked like, sorry I should say, and I really loved how it turned out. I love the shades, how they work together, and I love that the design wasn't too complicated but has that nice pop of nail art. Now because these are press on nail tips, I like to come in and top coat them using the rubber top coat just to give them that bit of extra strength when they're being worn. So I'm going to take a small amount of the rubber top coat, wipe off the excess, and then wipe one side of the brush so that I can control that product easily, and then I just tend to float this over the top because it works beautifully to encapsulate your nail art when you use that floated technique. So I'm not brushing it in too much and I'm not applying too much pressure with my brush. Sometimes when you are doing blooming gel nail art, marble nail art, hand painted nail art, things like decals, the surface of the nail is going to look a little bit uneven. So when you come in and a top coat with the rubber top coat and float it on, it gives that super smooth finish because it's encapsulating everything in, and it's going to coat over the top of that nail art and then give you that super smooth finish, whilst also providing you with the strengthening properties that the rubber top coat has. Now I'm just going to come in, apply this to all of the nails, and then this does require a 60-second cure, so I'm going to pop this in to cure for 60 seconds. If you're not encapsulating any nail art, you could have used any of the other top coats that are available in the Kiki London range. The crystal top coat is very popular at the moment, but look how smooth these look now they've been top coated with the rubber top coat, and I love that because I do find blooming gel can sometimes look a little bit uneven, ever so slightly, but that rubber top coat just smooths everything out. So I really hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, do pop them in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up button if you did enjoy it, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do consider subscribing. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.